Time now for our press review, and for that we're joined in the studio by Erin Gunkaye. Erin, the Israel-Gaza war unsurprisingly dominating papers in Israel this morning.
Yeah, that's right, Hexie. I'll start with a sum up of the weekend's events on the cover of Jerusalem Post, because it's got kind of all of the different angles of the weekend's events. So, the death toll hitting over 700, 2,000 wounded. You've got Netanyahu appointing a hostage coordinator for the over 150 Israeli hostages, exchange of fire with Hezbollah. But I'm going to focus today on the op-ed, that opinion piece describing the events of Saturday morning as Israel's 9/11, the greatest intelligence failure in its history. The Jerusalem Post asking then, how did Israel fall so far to such an inferior enemy? Now, Ynet actually has kind of an answer to that. It goes into detail about Israel's security failures. They say that it was fourfold. First, in the intelligence gathering, failure to predict or to even have any knowledge that this was going to happen. Second, the fact that the border was breached by so many militants, hundreds, if not more. Third, the ease with which so many hostages, again, some 150 Israeli hostages, most of them civilians, the ease with which they were taken. And the fourth being the IDF's slow reaction to show up at many of the crime scenes, to give information to the families of the missing on where their relatives may be. So several noted security failures there.
And Erin, a lot of papers today taking specific aim at Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Yeah, that's right. The Times of Israel in this piece, for example, points out that the Israeli prime minister has been propping up Hamas for years, treating the terror group, it says, as a partner, actually, at the expense of Mahmoud Abbas and the question of Palestinian statehood. The editorialist saying that this has essentially resulted in the wounds that will take Israel years to heal from, if not more. Now, Haaretz also takes aim at Benjamin Netanyahu. They put it rather bluntly, saying that the disaster that befell Israel is the clear responsibility of one person, and that's Benjamin Netanyahu. The left-leaning paper says that he prides himself on his vast political experience and security expertise, but was consciously leading Israel into catastrophe when establishing a government of annexation and dispossession, it says, when appointing far-right, if not racist, ministers to key positions, all of this while embracing a foreign policy that openly ignores the existence and rights of Palestinians. I'll finish, Hexie, with one of many pieces today that are kind of really radical, suggesting that Netanyahu has been too soft on Hamas. Israel Hayom, in a rather shocking piece, then saying this morning that this time Israel has to send Gaza, I quote, back into the Stone Age, abduct senior Hamas officials and their families, destroy their houses, destroy buildings, restaurants, and promenades in Gaza. Many pieces just expressing things similarly this morning.
And Erin, what sort of reaction are we seeing in the Palestinian and also the Middle Eastern press today?
Unsurprisingly, Haxi, a lot of Palestinian papers blaming Israel for the events that occurred. Palestinian paper Al Ayam wonders how Israel will recover from what it describes as its illusion of power, the arrogance of its history, its claim of national military security, and even scientific superiority over Palestinians. The paper asking how it will respond, if it will be by further massacring Gazans, which it said never really stopped anyway. Either way, the editorialist writes, we're all facing an event that will have major repercussions and huge costs for everyone involved in the region and elsewhere. Palestinian paper Al-Quds also blaming Israel, taking aim at Netanyahu as well. It says Israel bears responsibility for this Al-Aqsa flood operation. It says, for every action, there's an equal reaction. That editorialist saying that this current Israeli government is the most right-wing, extreme, and racist in its history, and that it's paying a price for that. A couple of papers, Hexie, took a look at kind of the international consequences. English language paper, Saudi paper, Arab News, saying that the biggest question is actually how the international community will respond to this. It says that without resolving the Palestinian question, for example, in a fair and reasonable way, all efforts to normalize Israel's relationship with its neighbors will fail, and that'll have consequences, obviously, both for Israelis and Palestinians. And then finally, the English language as well. Iran Daily asks if this Hamas offensive marks the end of the normalization process. The Iranian paper, I think it's important to note, also on its front page, choosing to kind of glorify Hamas combatants who are pictured here kind of, in a romantic way, if you will, parading around the Gaza Strip. You don't see pictures of victims on either side.
And then what about the Western press today? Seemingly more focused on the effect that Saturday's massive coordinated attacks had on Israel and Israeli citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Italian paper Il Foglio best demonstrates that. Its headline today reads, Israel is all of us. Israeli siamo noi. Defending Israel, it says, means defending our freedom and our democracies. The paper actually launching an appeal in defense of Israel, encouraging readers to send their signatures, thoughts, and support to Israelis. And then a lot of papers also are focused on the hostages, again, 150 of them at least. The Daily Mail describing them as pawns of merciless terrorists. Merciless, why? Because a lot of them are elderly, their children, their mothers. They are people who clearly are civilians, a 10-year-old child, attendees to a music festival calling for peace. Several papers, again, staying on that theme, focused precisely on that music festival. The New York Post describing it as a war crime, pictured as one of the women who was taken hostage. The Daily Telegraph publishing an image of the German citizen whose likely lifeless body was paraded around the Gaza Strip. And then finally, The Guardian reminds readers that families of the missing essentially have no news at all of their loved ones. Many found out on social media that they were either kidnapped or killed. It quotes attendees at that music festival, the Nova Music Festival, who criticized Israeli security forces, one saying, all of this technology, the things we've done to keep ourselves safe, ended up meaning nothing at all.
Erin Ogunke with a look through the international reaction to those extraordinary events out of Israel and Gaza in the past 48 hours. Thank you very much.